Hi, everyone. This is Jewel Bakewell with New Orleans Home Search Podcast. I'm so happy to be back. This is the first podcast of 2022. And of course, we're starting it with everybody's vision for this year, which is home ownership. So, on everybody's vision board, most likely you see home ownership in some way. And I'm super excited to have my sister and agent with Crown Jewel Realty on, Jasmine Bakewell Barre. Hi, Jasmine.
Hey, I'm so happy to be on the show. I'm excited.
I'm so happy to have you. We've done Instagram lives, but never the podcast. So
Right.
you're finally here.
I'm excited.
I am too. So the biggest reason why I think it kind of made sense for you to be on this show is because real estate is so generational. And once you learn about how it works, once you learn about credit, real estate, the leverage that you can gain, the things that you can leave your family, and how it can actually be a family business. And
Mhm.
most businesses in real estate are family oriented, then you get the big picture of why you want to bring in other family members and play off each other's strengths to create generational wealth for all of us.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So, I know we're talking about first time homeowners. You want to talk about our event and also more about you and what it is you do with your clients.
Yeah, I start off with more about me. So, like you said, I've been a real estate agent, a realtor for 4 years now. I started when you opened up the company, so it goes back to you speaking about family, business, and generational wealth. So, I did start once you opened up the company, and I've been with you since. I specialize in the New Orleans and the North Shore area, but I'll go all across Louisiana. I'm licensed all across Louisiana. I pride myself in going above and beyond for my clients. I always do. I love my clients. And recently, last month, just a little FYI, I helped one of my clients close on a property that appraised for more than $100,000 in equity. So it kind of points back to why real estate is one of the quickest ways to build generational wealth.
It really is. And I look at my clients that bought properties last year, just last year compared to this year. The property values have increased dramatically, and we don't have inventory here unlike other places, so I'm sure the house values are going to stay steady or if not go continue to rise.
Right, right. And a lot of people have contacted me about their home ownership goals for this year. And I know everybody's excited because it's the beginning of the year, which brings me to our home buyer seminar that we have on the 29th of this month. It's from 3:30 to 6 p.m. at Botanical NOLA. The link is in both of our bios, I believe. Do you have it in your bio?
Yes, I have it in
Okay.
my bio on Instagram. It's on my links on Facebook. So make sure y'all RSVP. Botanical Nolas has really good smoothies. They're
Yes.
all natural. They have everything in them that you need during this time in the pandemic. So was thinking kind of beginning of the year, you're wanting to start the year with a fresh start. You want to eat fresh, drink fresh. Everybody's in the gym now, working out.
Right.
So we want to talk to you about taking care of your business, right?
Right. Right.
So it's
Mhm.
not the funnest thing to do, right?
It's
Handling your
not.
credit, calling creditors, gathering documents from years ago, all those things aren't the funnest things to do, but they're all necessary to reach our goal. And once we do reach our goal, it's golden from there. So
Right.
what
It feels so good. It's like one of those things that you procrastinate with so much. You keep putting it
Mhm.
to the side over and over and over again, but then once you finally do it, you feel so accomplished. And that's one of my primary goals. I love helping my buyers and my sellers. And when they leave that closing table and they feel so accomplished and feel so good about themselves, it makes me feel good about myself as well. It makes me feel good that I was a part of helping them accomplish that goal.
It does. It does. And then I create this self competition like, Let me see how much more money I can make you, like, or I help you
Absolutely.
buy this house. Now it's time to sell it. Let's see, what I can do for you now.
And bringing in that family as well. Like I helped you.
Hmm.
Now you have a sibling, you have your parents and other relatives. Let me help them as well so that it can be a family thing and not, you alone.
Yes, and I help whole families.
Right.
Everybody in the family called me, and a lot of families. We help our own family.
Hmm.
So it's definitely something that it needs to be spread out amongst us, and it needs to be shared, this information. And on the podcast, I always mention the elderly and how we need to just take pride in what they have. And if your grandmother, your grandfather, somebody in your family owns a home, and the older you get, the harder it is to maintain that home. So if you're a family member and you can help them out and help that home to stay in the family, then do all you can to make sure that happens, especially if you're in the area like the 7th Ward, Treme, even the 9th Ward, St. Rock area. Those are areas that are increasing dramatically in sales prices, and just maintaining those homes and keeping them in the family is a good thing
And
to do. So somebody in the family needs to be in a position to purchase a home if and when
yes.
that time comes for your
And
family.
I'm so happy that you mentioned that because that's an important point. A lot of times we look at grandma's house and we think that is grandma's house when actually a lot of times it's not grandma's house. When you look at the paperwork, it's not grandma's house. So it's good to bring that to people's attention right now so that they can
Mhm.
have it on their mind to kind of look into the homes that are in the family right now, who really owns them.
Right, who owns them? Are the taxes up to date and current? You know,
Exactly.
you want to make sure somebody's not going to come in and pay the taxes, and now you have an extra lien on top of whatever else need to be paid to put the title on the property. So those are all things that, like I said, aren't the funniest. They're not the sexiest things to do, but they're necessary in order to provide for our families, in order to make sure that our kids have something left behind and have a part of our city.
Yes, yes, exactly. We are that generation, I guess I would call it the Katrina generation. When Katrina came, I was 15. So I'm in that generation where it's like we really need to step up and figure out who owns what and really take control of some things and not just complain.
Yeah, that's a good point, because your generation is the generation before the babies that are out here being wild in the street.
It's our
So
kids. It's a lot of our kids,
it's a
honestly.
lot of your generation's kids, yes,
Thank you.
that are doing. Thank you for admitting that
Thank you for
on live podcast.
reiterating
Yeah,
that.
it's y'all chair. And the problem is that during that time, I mean, we were all spread out. Everybody was everywhere. Everything was uncertain. Nobody knew
Yes.
when we'd be able to come back home again, when
Hmm.
home would be home or feel like home. And even now, we were just talking yesterday about everybody has this timeline of before Katrina and after Katrina.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when
Yep.
I
Yep.
go to talk to sellers about their house, they're like, oh, well, everything's replaced after Katrina. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, well, that was like 16, 17 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not no
Exactly.
renovation no more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But it feels like it, because it just still feels like it was yesterday.
Right, right. And that's important that we bring up that time frame. Like a lot of years have passed and it's about that time that we start renewing and refreshing and relooking into things.
Yes. And, maybe that's one reason why we do get these hurricanes, to remind us it's a new season. It's time for some change.
You're absolutely correct. That's a
Hmm.
good point.
So we're gonna talk to you about just some tips if buying a house is on your things to do list. These are just some things you might need to know. First thing is the house hack: buy a multifamily property first.
Yes, that's always my number one piece of advice.
Yes.
And I mean, you can kind of understand why. I mean, one side of pay for your mortgage, and the other side is free money coming towards you. Now, it is important that you keep in mind to keep a portion of that money to the side for repairs and other necessities that you will have to spend money on. So it is important that you are aware of all the things that are needed to take care of a home.
Yeah, that's a good point. One thing I didn't realize when I bought my double is that I should have had separate water meters, because
That's a
since
good
it's
point.
one water meter, I'm stuck with having to pay the water for both tenants. But if I had separate water heaters, I can allow them to pay their own water bill.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Another thing is you have to account for vacancies. So there may be a couple months where you don't have a tenant and you need a little slush to make sure you'll be able to get through those months.
And that comes a lot with the mind frame of what I've been talking to a lot of people about. Are you have to really ask yourself, are you at a point right now where you want to buy a home for yourself and your family, or are you in a mind frame, or are you in a position right now where you're trying to make money? So you have to break up the
Yeah.
two. If you're trying to make money and build money, you need to be looking more as purchasing for the first time as an investment. So multifamily properties. Now, if you're at a point in your life where you're looking for a family home, then you're more on the single family side of things. So it's
And when
important
we
to tap into that.
It is. And the biggest thing I found is that when you purchase the multifamily home, the lender includes the income that you'll be receiving from the other side and adds that onto your salary. So if you make $100,000 a year, and your tenant pays $1,000 already a year, I mean a month. So that's
Hmm.
12,000 for the year. The lender will put as if you made 112,000 instead of 100,000. So
Yes.
that extra 12,000 could bring you into another income bracket, another sales point bracket, where maybe you weren't able to qualify for a house that suited your needs for you to live on one side at the 100,000, but now that we're including this additional income and rents, this house, does have a side that you be feel comfortable with living in. And I
Right.
feel like that's the biggest challenge. It's, oh, it's not really suitable. It's a renter's unit. It doesn't look nice. Doesn't have all those aesthetics that I like to have. But those are all things that you can add into the property over
Exactly.
time. And you
Exactly.
really have to see the big picture about it all.
Right. You can go into a home and replace cabinets and islands and make it your own.
And that's what I have to give up to your generation too, Jasmine, because you will go on Instagram and you will go on Pinterest and YouTube and figure out a way to make something into a masterpiece.
Those
And
tools are so beneficial. It's like a
yes,
Google.
it
Anytime I'm
really
looking for
is.
something, I'm going to Instagram and going to the hashtag to see what other people have done.
Right. And
Uh-huh.
you'd be amazed, just simple little things that you can do on your own at home to refresh, like simple paint.
That'll add so
Paint
much
can
value to the home.
It does, and paint can change your whole look. Just doing that simple step. Clean it, a deep clean.
Yes.
I've seen properties, they were in bad shape, and I hired a cleaning company to come in and just a good bleach, a good clean really change the landscape, change the smell, change the whole energy of the space.
And a good pressure washing to the outside of a home will brighten it up. It's like brushing your teeth after you haven't brushed it in 2 weeks.
Oh wow!
That's how I look at pressure
Right.
washing a house. Like you gotta pressure wash it sometimes.
Pressure wash them teeth.
Yeah, a good pressure washing will do miracles.
Yes, that's a huge point.
Uh-huh.
So there's always things that you can do to a property. And don't count a property out, also pass by it. or Google Maps it. There's been times when on MLS the listing agent may not have had professional photos done, and the photos might be a little shabby. But we took a chance and go out and see it, and we're like, "Oh wow, this is nice. The pictures don't
Right.
look like it."
I
You
don't
know,
know
and
if
there are
I don't
times
know
when that happens.
I don't know if you remember this, but before I even got my license and you were a realtor, I remember telling you that the front door of a house speaks so loud. Like you can change the whole look of a house just by changing the front door.
You can.
Mhm.
Like for some reason, I love those red doors. It could be a dirty red door, but
I
it's
like yellow
red,
doors.
and I like it.
I like yellow.
You like yellow?
I like yellow.
I like the red doors.
You do.
Yes.
The yellow red doors remind me of like that fall weather up north.
Oh yes.
That's what it reminds me
Colonial
of.
style houses.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
These are just some examples of some things that you can do. Have a little vision, have a little insight. Don't turn your nose up too quick at something because it could be a potential gem.
Right.
And that's where the huge leverages are made, because now on the flip side, you will sell possibly in the next 3 to 5 years. Well, when and if you decide to sell, the equity you'll build, you can take that money, use it towards a single family property, use it towards another investment property. You can leverage the equity on the property and use it towards maybe a business loan for a business that you have, or if you want a location for a business, that'll give you the opportunity to have an asset and collateral for funds if you want to take your business to the next level. So it definitely opens up the door, not only just in where you lay your head, but also where you plan to go in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. The
So
second point I wanted to bring up was the amount that you're approved for may not be the amount that you want to spend every month on your mortgage. So that's the second thing that I wanted to bring up that's very important.
yes, that is important. You have to have an idea of how much you want to spend. So budget it out. Okay. I know, this is my lifestyle. This is how much I spend a month. And this is how much I feel comfortable with in paying a mortgage. And it's usually about the same or a little bit more than what you're already paying in rent.
Mhm. This is true.
So just keep that in mind. Also be realistic. If you're living in a two-bedroom apartment right now for 950 and you want to move in a three-bedroom, two-bath house with the square footage and new renovation, and you want a garage and a huge yard and a good neighborhood, you probably won't be spending 950 a month. Okay, your
No.
mortgage is gonna look more like 1500.
Mhm.
So
And
you
you
just
have to
have.
be prepared to make that big jump.
Yes, for sure.
Mhm.
So it might mean cutting some things out, which
Mhm.
don't sound nice, but the subscriptions is one thing. Cut Netflix out, get somebody else to log in.
Cut Spotify out. You can listen to music on YouTube.
Okay, or Pandora.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is true.
Yes, so just think about some things that you can cut out to get what you want.
And usually it's for the short term. It's not for the long term. It's just something that you have to buckle down on right now to get to where you ultimately really want to be. And you'll feel so much better about it. You'll feel even better listening to your Spotify and watching your Netflix in your house.
That's facts.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay, and the other tip that I wanted to mention is also to your generation, Jasmine, who are on Cash App, Venmo, and using all these transactional sites, PayPal. Well, if you want to include the income that you're getting from these sites, they're going to want a ledger of why and what every single Cash App is, every single Venmo is. So definitely keep that in mind at least 3 months before you're going to purchase this property that, hey, I know these things are going to get tracked. Let me not over exceed in cash apps. Let me not buy everybody lunch and then have them app me the money back. Because
Yeah,
then I know that I'll have the leisure for each and every person that cash app me the money back.
yeah, that's a fantastic point. And it makes me think about one of your favorite things that you always say around tax time, as far as writing off everything.
Yes. Don't
So
write off everything.
it's
If
important that you
you
mention that to my generation,
Yes,
especially.
okay. To Jasmine's generation,
Do not write off everything, y'all.
to them Katrina babies. Don't write off everything on your taxes, okay? Because obviously you want to. No one wants to pay for things that they've spent money on that are taxable in their business. It just doesn't make sense logically. However, when you do this and the bank looks at the paperwork, it looks as if you didn't make this money that you really made. You made that money less the expenses, and it could come down to you making 100,000 and now you make 18,000
Right. And
because you
it's
expense.
a mind frame. If you know where you want to go within a couple of years ahead of time, just have that in your mind and know that you have to be prepared come time.
And also, what's helpful for me is to pay my taxes quarterly, so I don't pass out at the end of the year when it's tax time. So talk to your tax person for sure and have that conversation and pay it quarterly. And I learned that if you overpay the IRS, they owe you back in interest.
Right.
So you can talk to your tax person about these things, get more clarification on how it applies to you and your business and what it is that you do. But if you are expensing like crazy on your taxes, it will look like you make less money. You won't be able to approve for the house of your dreams at all. And that's a huge disappointment, especially if you're working really hard and you have a goal and you want to do the right thing. And some people need the tax return for their down payment. So it becomes like a catch 22. But
Hmm.
just know that there's programs available out there. You possibly qualify for one of those, and they give down payment assistance, they give closing cost assistance. So you won't know until you go ahead and step out there and get started with a loan officer and start the process.
Right. Which once I'll reiterate that we have our home buyer seminar, our free home buyer seminar, where we will have a mortgage
Yeah.
lender there to answer all of the questions that you might have. So you guys really need to click the link in our bios and sign up. Seats are limited, but the benefit of coming to this seminar outweighs everything. All your questions will be answered. All of the Crown Jewel Realty agents will be there, and we'll be ready to help and get you started on where you want to go.
Yes, people message me all the time and they're like, what do I do? Where do I start? I'm like, girl, we just had a home buyers class. We told everything. What are you?
Yes,
So
yes.
I mean, it's too much to text. It is.
It's
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 just
too
too much
much.
to text.
The best
It's
thing
too
to
much
do
to
is
text. And
come.
it's really too much over the phone as well. I'll talk to people about it over the phone and I just hear the overwhelmness in their voice, like they're like, oh wow, this is a lot. So come to the class. Let's talk one on one in person. And if you can't make it to the class, let's schedule a consultation and sit down and really go over what's going on with you because it's about a conversation. It's about creating a plan and then actually executing that plan.
Yes, and every case is personalized. Everything is
Yes.
personal, especially for you. So that's the important part about having a consultation with a realtor. What I suggest people do is write notes in your phone every time you think about a question, and you know you're coming to that home buyer seminar, or you know you have a consultation with me and Jude. Have a little note in your note sections in your phone. Make sure that you or writing down all your questions so that you don't forget. Every time a question pops up in your head, write it down in your notes so that when we meet, we have you're getting all your questions answered.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to get your questions answered, and then to also know that you have people that have your back, right? And along the way, more questions are gonna come up, but we're here to help you.
Yeah, it's true. I don't have a problem with answering questions for my buyers and my sellers. Um, it's what I do, it's what I love to do, and I love to help them.
So let's talk about lastly, because I know we're wrapping up soon.
Oh my
I
God,
want
is it time has went by that fast?
it does go by fast.
Yeah, it does.
I want to talk about you, Jasmine, and just reiterate where you're taking it with your clients for this 2022 season.
2022 season, I am trying to help more families than I've ever helped before. Whether that's buying their first property, first time home buyers, buying a first property, which is a single family home if that's what you prefer to do, a multi-family unit if that's what you're trying to do, adding to your portfolio, listing your home. I've been on a few listing appointments already this year, and I know that the inventory is very, very low. So um, I am focused on getting a lot of listings this year and getting a lot of houses on the market for the buyers that are coming in. And also, I want people to understand that I do help with leases. A lot of people aren't aware of that, but I do help with leases. And my goal with leases is to primarily get you to lease a home, but ultimately within that leasing period, we're working on either you're going towards your investment portfolio, properties that you want to purchase to invest, or purchasing your first time home. So I do want
Yes,
to,
and that's a big thing, and I tell agents all the time. My first year, I worked tons of leases, and everybody back and said, "Hey, Joel, I'm ready to buy," and I
right.
helped a lot of
And
them buy multifamily.
that's
Now they're buying single families because they're using the income from the multifamily to add to their income, and now they can approve for more with their single family home. So now they're able to buy the single family home that they really want, because they took that initial sacrifice, that initial step with getting a double on the first go round.
right. And that's my primary focus with people who come to me to lease a property. My focus is to get them in a property, and while we're in that leasing period, is to get them situated so that they can begin purchasing properties.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to hear more information from Jasmine or myself, make sure you click the link in our bios for the homeowners event, schedule a consultation, Crown Jewel Realty, NOLA.com, also NOLA Brokers, my Instagram, Jewel Bakewell on Facebook. And you can also follow Crown Jewel Realty on all social media outlets. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time on New Orleans Home Search Podcast.